Hello everyone and welcome. So, let's take a look at a situation like this here, pretty straightforward one here. We're going to start off with two people, Alice and Bob here, and they have equal salaries. So, we note that each of them are going to receive a $1,500 raise to their salaries. What can we say about their salaries now? Now, intuitively speaking, their salaries should still be the same, right? So let's investigate what's going on here. Let's say that Alice's old salary is A and Bob's old salary is B. These are the old salaries here. Now, the old salaries here, we are told they have equal salaries here, so we can say that this is the case here. So this is old salary. Now, they each get a $1,500 raise. So note what's going on here is that we each get a $1,500 raise here. So they're gaining $1,500 to their salaries, right? And then now we seem to have the new salaries here. A plus $1,500 and B plus $1,500. These are our new salaries here, right? Now, it seems like this should work, right? Because we started at the same rate, we went up by the same thing both times, so we should get the same thing at the end. It kind of makes sense here. So, now here's the thing. We know that at the beginning, the old salaries are the same here. Now, what about the second one? Well, $1,500, how do we... So, wait a minute. We know this is the same here, right? Because this is a number being associated with itself. So, if you recall the previous lesson here, this was our reflexive property, right? We know this is true by reflexive property. Notice what's going on here is that we seem to have this idea of addition, right? Where we can take this sort of thing here and kind of glue these things together, can add this here, right? Basically adding straight down to the left-hand side, adding straight down to the right-hand side, and it seems to work out pretty well here. So we can see that A plus $1,500 is like this, and we have B plus $1,500 like this here. So note that in this situation, it seems to work out pretty well. So, this here, we very aptly call this what is known as the addition postulate here. So notice that the addition postulate is telling us when equal quantities are added to equal quantities, the sums will be equal here, okay? So in this situation, and this is note, work with congruent as well, we'll talk about that in the future lesson. But note that the addition postulate tells us this here, right? We start off with equal things, we add equal things, and we're going to get equal things at the end. So you can see here, right? Note the important thing about the equality, about addition postulate here, is that there are two pairs of equalities here. We have this one here and this one here. You need two pairs of equalities here in order for them to come together and create the third one here, okay? So each of these equalities, this one here and this one here, is required for us to invoke the addition postulate and get this down here. Okay, and this is actually going to be really important when it comes to the example that we'll look at later on. So we see that this is our case here. We're going to start off with that. Now, of course, this doesn't have to be restricted to just addition here, right? So instead of saying a $1,500 raise, we can each, let's say each of them suffers a $1,500 pay cut. In this time of crisis here, people are going to fall upon hard times, so they get a $1,500 pay cut. Notice the same thing is going to occur here because we can do A equals B, 1,500 equals 1,500. This time they take a pay cut, their salaries drop here. So instead of a plus, we have a minus here. So I can put a minus sign here. And then here we know that each of these becomes negative here, but it should still work out at the end, right? Each of them, you start off with the same amount and you go down by the same amount, so you should get the same thing at the end. So much like how we had an addition postulate here, we have a subtraction postulate. So our subtraction postulate, as you can see here, right, works something like this here, where you have equal quantities being subtracted from equal quantities, the differences are equal, and again, works with congruence as well. We're going to talk about why that's going to work out later on, but I really want to make sure that we understand how these two things work here. These postulates, pretty straightforward. Now we're going to see how they're going to apply in geometric proof here. So again, just like the addition postulate here, you want two pairs of equalities. So here's one pair of inequalities here, and here's another pair of inequalities here. Keep both of these in case you want to keep them both in mind. You're going to need both of them in order to invoke the postulate here.